That level 1 threat out there in the Delta for Saturday, that level 1 threat including all parts of North Mississippi by Sunday. What that means is there's going to be a lot of rainfall, and we've already seen a ton of rainfall. Adding with that potential for that strong thunderstorm, that's why we are continuing to watch this pattern very closely. And while impacts we're hoping remain minimal, it's just something that we are not going to be surprised at all to see maybe some flash flooding through the weekend, through your Memorial Day weekend, meaning whatever plans you may have, make sure to do so and stay safe in the process. Damaging winds, the primary factor we're going to get with this. That's what we got down there in Lowndes County. But it's not impossible to get a brief tornado out of this. And that's what we had in Alabama, just outside of Tuscaloosa County during the early morning hours of our Friday. That potential is still there, but as each hour passes, that chance really lowers and becomes more minimal into those overnight hours. So as we look at our Mama Justice Doppler radar, a large part, there's your severe thunderstorm warning earlier on, that since fading out, but this boundary that's right over the top of North Mississippi is continuing to keep those chances around even into those overnight hours. But let me show you where the action is really taking place. Going into yesterday, or at least yesterday evening's broadcast, I told you guys that down south is going to be a focal point for any of that strong to potentially tornadic weather. And we have multiple severe thunderstorm warnings popping up down there just around the Jackson area, even up there towards Crystal Springs showing up as well. As these continue to trend off there towards the east, might clip parts of Pickens and Noxubee County, but overall that threat remain more towards southwest Alabama and southeast Mississippi. Up here in North Mississippi, it's going to be along this boundary that we're watching for any of that potential strong weather. And while that chance is there, overall, it should remain below severe limits through tonight. That doesn't mean it doesn't look intense. We've definitely got a few pictures here sent into the Mississippi Live Weather Studio that look a little bit menacing, but fortunately, if we're talking actual impact or damage, haven't gotten any confirmation of that so far. So Futurecast highlights that cold front pushing through our area tonight. And as you can see, a strengthening taking place even by 8, 9, 10 o'clock. That's a little bit different than what we were tracking last night. Reason why it's different is because there's more of a forcing mechanism. That cold front going to allow some lift to these storms, and that's where we could get those rumbles of thunder even as we head to bed by 10 or 11 o'clock tonight. 3 a.m. still seeing a large part of that thunderstorm activity south and west of Holmes County and continuing towards Canton and Jackson, but a few of those showers and storms trying to get more towards County. 6 a.m. additional developments popping up towards Chickasaw, Monroe, Itawamba, and Lee County, and unfortunately dealing with more of those rain chances into our Saturday plans. That being said, there are still windows of opportunity in regards to dry air heading into our Saturday afternoon. You can see those chances dropping to 20%, and I know that's still a chance, but if we're talking relatively speaking, that's the lowest chance we've seen in quite some time. So there will be some moments of opportunity throughout your Memorial Day weekend to get outside for a moment or two. We'll track where that is and how that lines up and how long we're talking about coming up in the next 60 seconds. But what we're really going to be diving into is our Mama Justice Doppler radar, assessing where those storms are, where those peak impacts will be, and how things have trended so far through this evening. That all as Mississippi Live Weather at 6 continues right after the break.
When C.K. Little opened his doors in downtown Corinth nearly 80 years ago, his plan was simple: deliver excellent service and exceed expectations. That's why we say a little gift goes a long way.
Looking for a place to finally call home? At Tupelo Home Center, we make it easy. From finding the perfect home to making financing a breeze, we'll take care of everything. Your new home is closer than you think. Pre-qualify today at TupeloHomeCenter.com.
As a bankruptcy firm, Mitchell, Cunningham & Bowling realizes many people are worried about their finances. We're here to guide you through the next steps to restart your life with easy video appointments. New clients don't have to leave home to get information about becoming debt-free. Also, convenient in-office appointments are available at the low cost of $340 upfront for a Chapter 13. You can be on your way to being debt-free. Contact Mitchell, Cunningham & Bowling today or visit our website at mcdebtfree.com. We are here to help you.
This portion of Mississippi Live Weather is presented by Little's Jewelers.
Right now, from the Room to Room Weather Center, here's meteorologist Gabe Maynor.
Flash flooding continues to be the top of my concerns heading into this weekend because we have that level 1 flash flood threat for the Mississippi Delta and far northwest Mississippi, and then getting into Sunday, that level 1 threat gets into all of North Mississippi. So have the rain gear ready. You probably have it already ready today, but we'll need to keep that around through your Memorial Day weekend. Saturday, we're at 83 degrees, still with plenty of those thunderstorms. Sunday, same thing. Thunderstorm activity does continue. And your Memorial Day, I know we like to get out and about for those Memorial Day services or anything outside for that matter, and it's just not shaping up to be that good of a weekend to be outdoors in the grand scheme of things because we have thunderstorms and a lot of rainfall with those storms. Severe weather risk in place for tonight. That's the immediate concern right now because that level 1 threat encompasses parts of Highway 45 and out towards the east into Alabama. Specifically, what we're watching for is going to be those strong winds, heavy rainfall, and maybe, if the ingredients line up just right, we're looking at a brief tornado possibility. As we bring things over to our Mama Justice Doppler radar, what we're going to be looking at is each individual storm because we've been tracking this since 4:30 this evening together and continue to watch things behind the scenes. The reason why I haven't cut in is because there hasn't been anything of concern to cut in for. So as we jump to that latest scan, one of the things that stands out is this cluster of thunderstorms that have been developing closer to Clarksdale and out there towards Tutwiler. And I did see a few folks asking specifically about Tutwiler. When you get those purples showing up, that's indicative of heavier rainfall. So that's where that potential flash flooding threat is in play. But with it being such a small storm, fortunately, I don't think that's an immediate threat for Webb and Tutwiler. But you could also be getting some small hail out of this. Lightning strikes remaining at about, let me zoom in on this storm in particular, 20 strikes or so. So it's not an extreme lightning producer, but it is still enough to where it definitely catches our attention. Those severe threats trying to hint at some of that small hail. Let's go ahead and get a track on this. And earlier on, moving at about 20 miles an hour, I want to make sure that it's continued that easterly movement. And yes, doing exactly that. So we're going to do that leading cell right there that's east of Tutwiler, north of Webb. And as it continues to move at about 22 miles an hour, we're seeing Turner 615, Cowart 631, and Tandy by 633. And that's going to continue to inch closer to I-55, and more cells are expected to develop as well. Put it on this loop, and you can see how that activity has increased, and that one cell now gaining some friends. And the reason why it's doing this is because we have a boundary centered right there. That's that cold front, and that's going to allow more of that activity to increase into our 7, 8, 9 o'clock hour on our Friday. We also have this boundary that's all the way from Yalobusha County, Lafayette County into Union County. You can see almost that outflow that's beginning to develop there. Watch these latest scans. Right there, that line that's out ahead of these storms. That's going to be that boundary that these storms continue to build off of. And as you can see, that southwesterly extent, that tail almost increasing as we get further towards Coffeyville, but really going to be reaching parts of Bruce and Pittsboro. We actually have a view out of Pittsboro, and I think it's worth taking a look at because it's going to be taking a view at these thunderstorms as they move through parts of Yalobusha County. And yeah, that's a pretty significant shelf cloud there. And that's going to be along that leading edge across parts of Water Valley and just north of Coffeyville. Those heavy downpours attached to it as well. And I know a lot of you are looking at this saying, Gabe, what's that? What's that? What's that? Valid questions. It's what we call scud cloud. We're not getting anything produced all the way to the surface. So while that tornado threat is there in a very minimal fashion, we've not gotten any verification of that actually reaching the surface. We did get a little bit of a wall cloud earlier on, but that was the closest that we've been, and that's still a good ways away. Even back behind it, you get some of that wispier rainfall, some of the lighter rainfall variety. Nonetheless, that's a great shot out of our Pittsboro camera with the North Mississippi Storm Chasers. So appreciate them for their hard work and always giving us a great view. But yeah, if you wanted any question of what's moving through the area, I'm curious right there if potentially that's trying to be a little bit more of a wall cloud. But if you have any question about what's going through the area, this basically confirms it all in regards to what's moving through Water Valley and now closer to the Banner community. So I want to look on wind mode real quick to see if we have any of that broad rotation. Doesn't look like we do. So fortunately, I believe that was more of a scud cloud. So hey, even the meteorologist has to do a double take from time to time. But as we look at the wind mode, that is something that continues to increase a bit. You know, earlier on, we're getting those darker greens, but that's becoming lighter, meaning that we're getting some of the stronger wind gusts as that moves on through. So latest scan, we're going to bring it there and we're going to query some of these wind totals. At 27 miles an hour, that's going to be enough to perhaps knock down a few limbs through the Pine Valley and Banner community. So, and those winds are on the increase over the last couple of scans. So let's do a track on specifically this part of our line from Thaxton to Pine Valley. And real quick before I do that, I do want to look at the speed on this because that is one thing that, you know, from the 4:30 to 5 o'clock hour, those winds or the speed of the storms actually decreased a little bit. So as we measure this out, we're going to go from Tillatoba to right there. Yeah, 25 miles an hour, actually increasing once again. So the main boundary going at about 25 miles an hour. That's what we've been tracking, and we will continue to track that. But those cluster of cells out there towards the delta, a little bit of a different story. But let's get a leading edge on this line from Pine Valley all the way to Thaxton. And as we go about 25 miles an hour, and I'll have to make sure that we have the right direction on this. Yeah, continue to move east. We're looking at Spring Hill closer to 615. Banner, been mentioning you a couple times. 621. Sarepta, 630. Springville, that's for our folks over there in South Pontotoc, 631. Randolph, 632. Pontotoc, about 644. Matthews, 645. Buckhorn by 654. Algoma, 655. Furs, 708. And Chihuahua by 709. This is, again, a storm that is probably one of the stronger storms in our viewing area right now. Those strikes coming in at about 40 strikes. And look at the increase over those past couple of scans. We were looking at about 8 strikes in total, now up to 40. So this is an increasing thunderstorm, at least increasing in strength. And as we look at those peak threats or peak impacts, you can see that some of those larger hail returns, at least trying to show up, our True Shield Roofing hail swath, giving some indication of some small hail trying to be produced. But fortunately, as of right now, has not done so, at least no confirmation from the chat just yet. I am going to bring up the chat to discuss this. I do see a few folks just joining and asking about their specific area. You know, do we need to be worried in Calhoun? I see that is Talisa Woods asking that. We don't need to be worried. We just need to be prepared. And I say that through every severe weather event, whether it's a level 1 threat like today or a level 5 threat potentially down the line. We just need to be prepared. No need to be scared. And as of right now, we're not seeing any severe thunderstorm warnings being issued, but a few storms are just catching our attention that could maybe produce a severe thunderstorm warning down the line. So asking specifically Calhoun County, tracked that for a moment, or for you a moment ago, as it's moving through the northern half of Calhoun County. So you're going to be dealing with a pretty hefty thunderstorm, but if we're talking severe, not reaching that threshold just yet. How is Corinth, Mississippi looking? Is it okay for me to get out? Brittany asking that up there in Alcorn County. As of right now, it's just some moderate showers, but overall should be good to get out. Just drive safely because those roads will be slick. Any tornado warnings for Grenada? No tornado warnings for Grenada, fortunately. We've actually stayed void of any tornado warnings in our coverage area here in North Mississippi. Out towards Alabama, they had a confirmed tornado touchdown. Real brief, but some of that damage being reported out there actually rated it an EF1. So while it is still a weaker tornado, it is still damaging. So we do say our thoughts and prayers for, or keep our thoughts and prayers for folks over there in Alabama. Down south, we've had a few tornado warnings, but no confirmation so far. So that's always positive, and that's what we want to see. While warnings do get issued, we just don't want to see any confirmation, and have not had that so far. We haven't even had a warning so far today. As we look at the latest scan there, you see that activity just increasing out there in the Delta from Greenville to Cleveland. All of that cluster of storms just continue to increase as it moves into the Delta right along Highway 61 and extending right just north of that 82-55 corridor, moving into the 6:15, almost 6:30 hour on our Friday. So additional development, I would say I can do a storm track on that, but it's such a widespread cluster that it's going to be tough to track those individual storms. But you can see, look at, this is a very unique feature. I'm actually going to bring this back full screen for a second. So as we come back full screen to our Mama Justice Doppler radar, you see how we get these dots showing up? That's your boundary. That is your cold front that's moving into the North Mississippi area. And all of these storms are beginning to initiate right along that boundary, including a few that are developing out ahead of the boundary. So there's your cold front that we're watching. And so as we head further into the evening, that's an area where we're going to be watching. And it's really going to be, if I can draw this out, let me go to the latest scan. Here's your cold front. So right there, that's your cold front that we're watching. I'm sorry, I don't have a, Matt just got a tablet, so he's able to draw things better, so he doesn't need me anymore. I don't have that tablet, so I have to still draw with the mouse, and it is not pretty. Anyway, your frontal boundary is overhead right there, and that's why we're getting all of this additional development over those specific areas. So that's where we are going to continue to watch for some of that additional development through the night. Okay, let's go ahead and bring it back here to our forecasting mode to kind of track out what we're going to experience into the rest of our Friday and really into your Memorial Day weekend. Our chances remain scattered through the overnight hours, including by midnight, but these rain chances will keep our temperatures pretty mild into those overnight hours. There's your front. Hey, we just drew it out. Well, let's go ahead and apply that to our future cast and time that out into those overnight hours. All of that additional development, all of those boundaries we just looked at a moment ago, forming right along that cold front, and thus we are going to continue to keep the, sorry, I was checking reports, just making sure I'm not missing anything, but continue to see those storms pick up and linger in our forecast overnight as well. What you notice about the front doesn't move too much. Well, there's a reason why. It becomes stalled out, and that stalled front is going to allow for additional development into those overnight hours. Once again, while we could see some stronger thunderstorms down south, not necessarily severe, but strong, being heavy rainfall and lightning producers up here in North Mississippi. There's this cluster that develops from Tupelo to Amory, up there towards Fulton to Iuka, where we get some of those thunderstorms to develop and perhaps have a rumble of thunder throughout those early morning Saturday commutes. 63 Bruce and Water Valley for your Saturday morning. We're 66 Starkville and Columbus, 67 Belzona and Greenville, and continue to keep those mild mornings around even into the rest of your weekend. Your moderate showers sticking around throughout your Saturday morning, but I told you there was an opportunity, a window of opportunity for some drier air. As these showers move into the Alabama state line, look back behind it. Just cloud cover. And that's a welcome sight. So if you're looking to get some things done, 12 to 3, you're still going to be dodging some showers, a few of us. But there is the best chance of having at least some dry plans on your weekend as we go about our Saturday 12 to 3 time frame before that next chance moves in. And you're getting those into Saturday evening. This will pack a punch with some of the heavier rainfall. Our meteorologist Caleb Edelblut at 6 p.m. tracking that out for folks out there in the Delta and going to be dealing with that throughout all of North Mississippi as we get further into those overnight hours. Track that in a moment. Let's first look at those high in Oxford and Booneville, 85 Houston and Bruce, 84 Louisville, and 85 Belzona and Greenwood. Your forecast continues to stay warm into the evening, but as we track these showers out, you can see how those move into the North Mississippi area, but a large part of that cluster remaining south, at least on our strike model. One thing our strike model is showing us, less pushy on those rain chances. So hopefully this continues to prevail, because if that's the case, then we're looking at a little bit of a step back on those rain chances by Sunday. Still scattered in nature, but not going to be widespread like what our HRRR model is hinting at. We'll look at that HRRR model coming up at 9 and 10 tonight, but nonetheless, we're hopeful that we're able to get into our Sunday and remain as rain-free as we can be. We're 66 Starkville and Columbus, 65 Houston and Eupora, 64 Oxford and Holly Springs, and 67 Tunica and Clarksdale. So I told you mild mornings continue. We get that once again for our Sunday, and that'll carry over into our Memorial Day as well. Stationary front, the same front that we've been dealing with, remaining overhead by Sunday morning, and that'll allow for additional development. But a large part of that rainfall going to be well out towards Alabama. You see behind me there. But here in North Mississippi, we're not seeing as much coverage. That's not saying we're going to be completely dry. Those scattered chances building in by the afternoon, and really those widespread chances moving in late into the afternoon and early evening time frame. So we will be getting that rainfall, but that'll add another window of opportunity if our strike model prevails, and we'll see how that lines up with our HRRR model coming up at 9 and 10 tonight. Your Monday morning, hinting at what our Memorial Day will be covered with, and that is rainfall once again. So buckle up, have the rain gear ready. You're going to be good to go. Just have to dodge a few showers. We're 82 Houston and Bruce, 81 Clarksdale, 80 in Cleveland, 80 towards Oxford, 81 Kosciuszko, and 80 towards Red Bay, Alabama. So folks, it is going to be a toasty afternoon, but not nearly as bad as what it could be. The rainfall actually adding some of that rain-cooled air, but these totals, I'm going to say it again. I've been saying it all week. They are jaw-dropping. So heading into our Saturday, we're adding another inch in some spots. Well, then getting into Sunday, we're adding potentially another inch in some spots, and then getting into our Monday, you get the point. We're adding basically an inch a day possible, depending on where these showers do line up with those brief heavy downpours. And once we get into the latter part of the week, a few areas could be talking 4+ inches on top of what we've already received. And if your rain gauge looks like the Mainer households, we're already at 4.5 inches. 3 days, guys, 4.5 inches. So if we say drought buster, this is definitely a forecast that's putting a dent into it, that's for sure. As we go about this week, though, rain chances stick around, and it'll keep those temperatures mild in the morning and then cooler by the afternoon. But you'll just need that umbrella around as you go about any of those plans, because whether it's your Memorial Day weekend or even plans into next week for those first weeks of summer, you'll want to have the rain gear ready, as we're just in a very active pattern here in North Mississippi. Coming up after the break, we're talking all things sports and letting you know about the latest champion down there in Pearl. We're also going to be talking the latest on our Mama Justice Doppler radar, so keep it here for the very latest. We'll see you right back after the break.
When something this big comes crashing into your life, it's not just metal that takes the hit. It's your time, your health, your future. And the companies behind it, they're already protecting themselves. You need someone who knows how to stand up to them. I'm Casey Lott. If you've been injured in a truck accident, call me today.
A know you're going through a lot. I wonder if you know that we can get help. Let's see how far we can go. Love, your mind.
I felt accomplished after I got my diploma. Made me feel that I could take on whatever challenges life throws at you.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Well, a gorgeous sunset out there in Pontotoc, seen through the North Mississippi Storm Chaser camera. Well, sunset, kind of. Reason why is because we're dealing with those showers moving overhead. If we look at our radar mode, you can see right there on our Mama Justice Doppler radar, all of that rainfall just west of Pontotoc, and you're getting a look at that heavy rainfall through the eyes of our tower cam, the heavy rainfall, and yes, going to amount to quite a bit. I'm seeing if we could get any strikes because there is a little bit of lightning with this. But overall, the lightning is not going to be, your typical energetic setup with the severe thunderstorm risk. This is going to be well dialed down throughout your evening. So as we continue to look at that, that's one of the storms that we are watching. And as we bring it back here to our Mama Justice Doppler radar, we were looking out there towards this area. I was seeing if this was rotation because, you get that typical notch that we would look for. And it does look on reflectivity like it does try to bow out a little bit. But if we're looking at our wind mode, I don't see anything that stands out as if this is a rotating storm, but reflectivity at least giving an indication of it trying to, jet out ahead. So that definitely catches our attention, especially with these brief tornadoes possible. We want to be sure to catch that if it were happening. But as of right now, towards Toccopola and Thaxton, even out there towards Pontotoc, I don't see anything imminent on that as of just yet. Keeping eyes on it, but as of yet, I have not seen anything confirming that. So as we look at that specific spot, I'm going to track out that specific spot where it does look like it might be trying. And as we go about 25 miles an hour, North Junction 646, Pontotoc closer to about 648. So still a ways away. And again, this is still several scans away. Really interesting, just that little notch always whenever we're looking at these storm setups. And let's just go ahead and track out the entire set of making plans. And we're focused more on the southern extent of this line as that boundary comes through. But as you can, areas more closer to 645, Guntown 651, Algoma 67, 3 and 11. Watching this line, again, it's the southern extent. So Pontotoc and Algoma, I'm more looking for you. Saltillo, town, just going rainfall that we're watching. And of course, you see a few communities, I should say, listed in there. Ellistown 625, Alpine 626, Blue Springs 628, Springville 633, Bethany, same time frame, Randolph 635. I did see, let me bring up the chat here real quick because one of our folks was saying, nothing right now in Randolph. Justin, appreciate that report. And yeah, later on, dealing with some storms. Yeah, we'll definitely be watching for you guys out there in Randolph. So bring it back here, clean things up just a bit and answer some of your guys' questions. So could storms overnight be tornadic? So what we're watching with this is our boundary that remains overhead. And as we head further into the night, our limited, I just want to emphasize that, limited tornado potential continues to drop. So as long as we see as long as we continue through the night and we get that daytime heating mixing out, then that'll help limit that tornado potential. But even then, it's very, very minimal. So still go on and plans as usual, but just have that umbrella ready and you'll be good to go. Paige letting us know it was sunny in Pontotoc, now thunder. I mean, yeah, you saw the camera a moment ago. Heavy downpour moving into Pontotoc. So we're definitely keeping an eye on that for you guys. Has anything changed for Wheeler? I mean, you're getting some pop-up showers and storms, but you have that boundary right there. You can see my mouse moving through Guntown all the way into Pontotoc, and that boundary is going to be where more storms are able to form. So we're keeping eyes on that, that's for sure. But overall, not seeing anything that's jumping off the page as, hey, this is about to be severe, and we'll definitely take that in the grand scheme of things. But where this is not exactly a good, ideal situation, let me see. This is not the right one. I'm going to pull in the right baseball forecast because we do have a game tomorrow. Fun fact, our baseball has been going on all week long. Looks like this one should be correct. Baseball has been going on all week long. Oh, it's not. Well, yes, it is. It just needs the right day. Perfect. Okay. So West Union are only confirmed happening, and I'm going to bring this full screen so you this because as you see those rain chance percent hours are will he's just been forecast that continues into and will take state title. But as we to our monitor real quick, I do want to talk specifically about this forecast, but also talk about of course, dipping our toe into a little bit of sports. We can see that West Union is our only game tomorrow, and whenever we look at that specific matchup, we're going to be seeing West Union take on Taylorsville. Taylorsville is a little bit of a underdog story. 17-18 on the season, taking on a 28-10 team in West Union. Game 1, West Union handled Taylorsville 8-3, but Game 2, Taylorsville fought back 10-8. Game 3, Saturday at 10 a.m. Excited to see who comes out on top in that action and hopefully brings home that 1A state championship. But speaking of championships, we do have another champion to crown. Unfortunately, not here in North Mississippi, but we are still proud of our East Webster Wolverines. The Mize Bulldogs are taking home this one for your 2A state title, making it 2-2 between North Half and South Half. So we'll see what happens. Boonville playing right now, not looking good, unfortunately. So I'm so proud of our Blue Devils and everything they've been able to accomplish. But who knows, maybe a late inning rally is possible. And then getting into tonight, Pontotoc is playing. And if they are able to win, then they have a Game 3 heading into Saturday as well. So we'll let you know that forecast, Pontotoc fans, if you guys are able to pull that one off tonight, and Boonville fans, if we're able to get that win this afternoon. So wanted to touch on sports for just a bit. Before I do wrap things up tonight, I do want to talk about some of your Weather Watcher pictures. You know, one of the things we always mention is submit your pictures through the app, and we want to showcase that on Mississippi Live Weather. So as I bring it back to full screen, you can see some of those pictures. There we go. Some of those pictures being submitted. And like I said, these are a lot of what we call SLCs, scary looking clouds. And while that does look a little bit menacing there on the horizon, fortunately not a tornado there. That is just some of those scud clouds. We do get those heavy downpours happening. You can see it on the windshield of the truck there and even on the roadway behind me. And more of that scud cloud showing up. Those dark shelf clouds making an appearance as well. This was an incredible drone shot. This was taken close to Yakna by Jamie. And you can see the heavy downpours there just blocking the view right there on the horizon, and a bit of those leading edges as well. This is right along that boundary, another shelf cloud to show. And yeah, getting those dark clouds there even on our Ring cameras or our doorbell cameras. So folks, it's active, it's busy, it's stormy. That's just what we need to deal with tonight. But fortunately, we don't have anything that's sticking out as tornadic just yet. I do want to say, I'm keeping eyes behind the scenes. If we need to cut in before our shows tonight, we will. But as of right now, I think that we're still good to carry on with our plans tonight. I did see in the chat, going to bring that up real quick because I want to, take a look at that. Canceled a party this evening after the 7:30 forecast. Current weather, Fulton, lovely, breezy, partly sunny skies, birds singing, regrets blooming. Okay, let me talk about that, Thomas. So with a cancellation of a party, one thing that we've been talking about, and I heard Caleb talk about it this morning, was that the storms are going to be very scattered in nature. So some areas, I think the North Mississippi Storm Chasers put out this picture, and I need to go find it. It was a picture of a storm, and then the isolated shower, and there was sunshine out ahead of it, and then the folks that dealt with rain earlier on. And it said, the folks out in the sunshine, oh, the forecast is wrong. And then there was the folks in the rainfall saying, oh, the forecast wasn't enough. And there's folks back behind it that saying, oh, it was perfect. So it really depends on where you're at. So a lot of folks that are dealing with these rain showers right now are saying, oh, you know what? It was a stormy afternoon. But as we look in Fulton, you mentioned, Fulton hasn't gotten much rainfall today. If we look at those totals, it hasn't amounted to much. Looking at that 12-hour rainfall accumulation, I mean, we've gotten a few, but over the last 3 hours, looking much less. So that's the thing about it, is it's going to be hit or miss showers throughout your Friday, but still some decent chances throughout the day. And we continue to see some pretty intense coverage there across the region as more of that boundary builds into North Mississippi and eventually could reach over there towards Fulton later on tonight. So I apologize about the party this evening, but they're just dealing with those hit or miss showers. And sometimes this time of year, it's just kind of disappointing because you cancel it and all the showers happen around you. So it would have been good to go. But, that's just the chance that we have to take. Gene letting me know there's nothing here in Algoma. So working our way through the next 30 minutes or so, might be telling me a different story. Because if we look at our Pontotoc camera, and that's just north of Algoma, so getting a view of what could be moving there as well, you can see that storm is inching closer and closer. You get a little bit of that shelf cloud as well, and that heavy rainfall. I'm actually blocking the best view of this right there. I'm curious, is that Pontotoc camera? I know the North Mississippi Storm Chasers might be watching. Let me go behind the scenes real quick. I'm going to take this full screen and I'm going to turn this camera a bit because I think the heaviest portions that we need to be looking at are actually more towards the west. So, okay, perfect. There. Shout out North Mississippi Storm Chasers. You guys are tuning in. So as we look at that camera there, might be a little bit of a wall cloud trying to form. And that was that area, that notch that we were noting a moment ago. So that definitely is something to stand out. I wanted to clear that off. So let me take a look right there. Disorganized at best, but yeah, that's an area to watch for as we get further into the next few moments. I don't think it's imminent of a tornado, but it's definitely an impressive look there, impressive structure just around the Pontotoc area. Get that shelf cloud as well out on the leading edge, so watch for that. It looks like, that's what I'm talking about, with that little inflow tail. It almost looks like it might be trying to form there. We'll keep eyes on that behind the scenes. Still a ways away from doing anything, and so far with what we've seen tonight, doesn't look like, with how things have trended, it hasn't produced anything, so hopefully that will continue to be the case, but we're going to keep eyes on that behind the scenes, but that definitely catches the attention a little bit. So appreciate North Mississippi Storm Chasers for adjusting that camera, keeping eyes on that storm for sure. We're going to be keeping eyes on all of these storms across North Mississippi tonight, but I want to make sure that you guys know, go ahead, you guys are good for those plans. Just make those safety plans and before you guys head out and about, so that way you guys are through the night. So they want to know where the place, able to track that on radar socials, like, download. Appreciate everyone who has done so. But I do want you guys Friday tune in for your plans. Fire forecast right now. See there. I want to see. Back here for our chat, letting me know. I'm going to bring up the chat specifically. Okay, so that was Candy letting a snow whole wall cloud toward Oxford, Holly Springs, thunderstorm in Banner right now. Let me pull up our Oxford camera. And we'll take a look at this together. Yeah, and let me tell you an interesting thing about these clouds right here. You see how these are just like bubbling up? It has a good sharp structure to it. That means these have a good strengthening to it and a good structure to perhaps be a little bit on the stronger side. So that's looking a little bit better. Those updrafts trying to take those a little bit higher in the sky. Still low, relatively speaking, but the structure looks impressive with those sharp edges showing that these clouds going into a few more